Okay, that's good. That's good. Goes on. Here. What's that? Nothing to be concerned with. Okay, go here. And go there. And close that. Share this. Okay. Oh, okay. 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 Come on, camera. There you go. Alright, so now we just wait for people to show up. There. Okay. Come on, everybody. Hi, Ben. Ugh. Hi, Blaze. How's it going? Hopefully we'll have more of our usual audience level this week, because we certainly didn't have it last week. Good Lord, what happened there? What happened there? I mean, I know, the NFL season started, but I didn't count on that many people that watch me being into football. You know what I'm saying? That seemed a bit off. Come on, everybody. Oh, man. I am parched. Must have been dehydrated and didn't know it. Eye clean frame, which isn't good. Being dehydrated, not knowing it, isn't good. I forgot to do something. Dang it. Yeah. I don't know if I can do this from here. I guess not. Well, that's no good. That is no good. Why can't I do that? Huh. Yeah, I guess it ain't gonna let me do that. That sucks. What games am I playing at the moment? Well, I finished Mafia: The Old Country, and I've got the footage for that, and I'm working on building a review for that, which I should have the review done sometime this coming week. It's a bit of a busy week for me because of the fact that my employer laid another class on me that I have to take and get the certification for. So that's kind of like my homework that I'm working on right now. But at some point soon, there will be a Mafia Old Country review coming. What I review after that would be entirely up to y'all. Yeah, we had one person that donated for me to play Mafia. Just would depend. Things are very busy and very hectic for me right now. And I'll get into that too. Oh no, 7th, I am at a family meeting and won't be able to stay for long. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Dark Star, but I mean, there is always replay for the 7thCast. Of course, that'll mean I'll be losing my one remaining donator. I've been playing Abiotic Factor with a friend. Have you heard of it? No, I'm not familiar with whatever that is. That's a new one on me. Hi, ZachMac17. How's it going? How's it going, sir? We'll be getting started with the official show in about 3 minutes. I always give people some time to get in. Although it doesn't look like people are rushing to get in this week, just like last week. What is going on? Have I become that boring? Oh, why am I so thirsty today? Wow. But yeah, give it another 3 minutes and we'll get going with the official show. This is kind of like the little pre-show where I give everything 10 minutes to make sure nothing crashes out or goes wrong. Technically. Dark Star Angel, I think I've said this before, but I have been using your one-time DBTS line as a catchphrase. Hope you like the scenic route, Forkers. I don't remember ever saying that in a DBTS, but okay. You'd have to cite for me which DBTS I said that in. I don't recall that, but I'm not disputing you. I'm just saying I don't remember coming up with that line. You let me know what episode that was in so I can go and rewatch myself. Anyway, we got 2 minutes left here. My video game club is playing Grim Fandango. What did you give it out of 7? It was a 5 out of 7. I mean, it's not that I don't dislike point-and-click adventures. Some of them I very much like. Like, for example, Day of the Tentacle. I just couldn't get into the story of Grim Fandango, and I wasn't much of a big fan of the art style of it either. Silk Song success sales broke the store servers. Have you or Eighth played it? Not yet, no. I don't have $20 to spare on it right now. I replaced one word with Forkers. You know which. Oh, okay. Yours actually makes more sense, though. Think about it. Hope you like the scenic route, Forkers. And in other words, they took the fork in the road to the scenic route. Okay, maybe not. I'm just saying, yours makes more sense. But we've got movie stuff to talk about. We've got some revelations with my personal health to talk about. And we'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, it is 6 o'clock. It's Saturday, September 6th, 2025, and this is the 7thCast. As always, I'm your venerable host, your friendly neighborhood 7th. 8th is up there somewhere doing whatever it is that he does. As you all know, for anybody that's new here, this is a 3-hour podcast. It has the potential to become longer depending on donations. If donations hit $50, an extra hour is added. Basically, an extra hour is added for every $50 up to a limit of 3 additional hours for a mind-numbingly 6-hour-long stream. AKA If it gets at $150, you can donate everything you own at that point. It's not going to make me stay longer than 6 hours. 6 hours is where I draw the line. At one point, I used to do, 8-hour podcasts. My health just doesn't allow it anymore. It barely allows what I do. So, I'm sorry, but, 50 years old now, and we're going to get into that. But today, 8th and I hopped in the old beast, the old 2016 Dodge Challenger. That only has 34,000 miles on it because I work from home. I told y'all I didn't have a life. And we went to drove down to Belton, Texas. And we saw the new Conjuring movie, Conjuring Last Rites. Now, for those of you who've been following me for a while, you know that while I really, really liked Conjuring 1 and 2, I was not a fan of Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. It felt very slow and plodding and boring and dull. This one also has a plodding plot progression, but it's not as bad as 3. Not near as bad. For one thing, 3 broke away from the whole, haunted house vibe and went for a more haunted person vibe because it was a guy who was possessed by a demon and murdered somebody while he was possessed and was trying to not go to prison for it. That was basically the whole vibe of that. And it had actually already been covered years and years ago when I was a kid in a made-for-TV movie that starred Kevin Bacon that was called The Demon Murder Case. Well, anyway, this one, they kind of go back to their roots, and it's a haunted house movie. And I recommend it. 8th liked it too, but he still didn't like it as well as the first 2 films. But it's definitely better than 3, and it's better than all of the, their side story movies, the Nun movies, the Annabelle movies, and definitely the La Llorona movie, which shouldn't even count. But it was very good. Had some really cool effects, had some cool jump scares. And so, even though it also has slow parts, the slow parts are more interesting because it's all about the life of the Warrens. Whereas the slow parts in part 3 was all about this guy that worked at an animal shelter that, ended up getting possessed. And those parts were just incredibly dull and boring, and it dragged the plot along. But and also that one had like this barely connected side plot of this evil witch woman that was orchestrating the whole thing that took forever to get to the point of that. This one doesn't have that problem. I can tell that there was a lot of stuff cut out of it that was more expositionary, that explained more parts of the plot than what the finished film does. And if those had been left in, then this one very likely would have been as boring as part 3. But they cut a bunch of stuff out and trimmed it down to just a little over 2 hours. And so I enjoyed it. It feels closer, way closer to the first 2 than part 3 ever came to. Oh, and by the way. Oh, magic powers. So I would recommend it. I'm sure that they'll keep it in the theaters for a while. Why they released it in the 1st of September instead of waiting closer to Halloween, I don't know. In that regard, I think the Conjuring movies are very unique in the world of horror because they're the only ongoing horror franchise I can think about that revolves around the heroes instead of the villain. Because Scream doesn't really revolve around the heroes. It revolves around whoever is wearing the ghost mask at the time. But the Conjuring films are all about the Warrens versus this, the Warrens versus that. As 8th likes to say, the Conjuring movies is Scooby-Doo for grown-ups. It's about these investigators who put all the pieces together to figure out who's behind the mask controlling all the ghosts so that they can stop it and pull the mask off. And he's right. Structurally speaking, the Conjuring movies play out a lot like an R-rated Scooby-Doo episode. It's just his way it is. He's right. But they're unique in that way because most continuing horror franchises are all about, what's doing all the killing. And Conjuring is the reverse of that. It would be like if there was like a whole series of Poltergeist movies that were all about the little dwarf lady. Anyway. Have I seen did I watch anything else this week? I watched The Life of Chuck. I might have mentioned that last week. I don't know. But I watched The Life of Chuck. I liked it with the exception of the fact that the core event that kicks off the whole plot never gets explained. But, I mean, it's Stephen King, so that's not exactly a surprise. A lot of his stories, what sets it all off is never explained. For example, the short story where a guy keeps hearing a noise and he walks into his bathroom and there's a finger coming up out of the sink and it's scratching its fingernail on the porcelain of the sink. It never explains where the finger comes from. It's just there. Same thing with The Life of Chuck. It doesn't explain how the life of one life insurance salesman is the pivotal string that holds the universe together. It doesn't explain that. It just is. And you're just expected to go with it. I didn't care for that part of it, but otherwise I enjoyed it. I finally saw the live-action version of Lilo and Stitch. They struck gold when casting when it comes to Lilo. She is the living embodiment of that cartoon character. She sounds like her. She looks like her. She acts like her. Perfect casting for Lilo. Now, Stitch, of course, is Stitch. Nani was fine. They really screwed up the plot, though, because they removed Captain Gantu entirely. And because of that, they transitioned all of the stuff that Gantu does to move the plot forward into Jumba Jukiba. So one, Jumba doesn't sound like himself because they, for some reason, thought Zach Galifianakis would be a good replacement for the actor who did Jumba's voice, who passed away many years ago. And he's not. And two, Jumba doesn't act like himself at all. And it totally changes his character development through the film, to the detriment. So, whereas there was a lot of things I did like about it, that kept me from giving it a thumbs up. And I didn't really care too much for the way it ended either. Also, I did not like who they cast as Cobra Bubbles. He just doesn't embody that character at all. You needed big hulking guy, and that's not what they got. So, didn't care for that one either. Would have preferred they brought in somebody else that could have done that part. Anyway, that's it as far as things that I've watched. All of my game time over the past week was in finishing up Mafia: The Old Country. I beat it on normal difficulty. I am not going to chase the platinum because that game is... Oh, man. Yeah. Let's see here. Let me catch up real quick with the chat. I've only ever watched 1 and 2 or any others worth watching. No, only 1 and 2 and this new one are worth watching. American Horror Story spinoff called American Action Story. What do you think? Don't we already get that with 50% of what's on CBS? The Lilo and Stitch live action has some funky editing. I felt like each frame was very fast and shot. Yeah, they rushed through a lot of scenes instead of letting the jokes breathe. That's another problem that I had with it. Its pacing was off. But, I will say this. It was better than a lot of the other live-action remakes that I have bothered to sit through. No, I have not watched Snow White, nor will I ever. Unless someone, someone on here wants me to watch it to review it. But otherwise, I'm never watching that film. Anyway. Personal health. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. You guys know that over the last few years I've had some diminishing returns when it comes to my personal health. And that's to be expected on some level when you start to get older. But a year ago in July, I had a strange event, and I'm to the point where I can't even remember if I talked about it on the 7thCast or not. But what happened a year ago in July was, you see those shelves back there with all of the blacklight paint or blacklight tape? We had just moved in. We hadn't been here but, maybe a month and a half. And I was standing back there putting on some of that blacklight tape. And I bent over in half to get to the bottom side of those shelves. And I was standing that way for maybe 2 minutes as I was pushing tape down the line of the shelves. And I felt my heart skip a beat, which for me is not unheard of. I have had heart murmurs like that going all the way back to when I was a little kid. But I had that happen, and I was like, ooh, and I stood up. And when I stood up, instead of it just being like an isolated flip, it kept flipping. Flip, 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 flip. Didn't hurt. There was no radiating pain into my shoulder, going down in my arm and all that stuff. There's none of that. It just felt like my heart skipping a beat over and over again. I wasn't out of breath. I was able to take normal deep breaths, but it would just kept flip, 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 flip. And I reached and I took my pulse. And whereas my normal resting pulse is, instead my pulse was, and I could hear it. I could hear my heartbeat in my left ear. And so I walked over and I sat down and I started questioning, do I need to call 911? Because this doesn't feel like what I've been told a heart attack feels like. This is something else. And so instead, I waited to see if it was going to get any worse. I called up to 8th to let him know something weird was going on. And then I just, slowly sat and took deep breaths. And after about 30 minutes, all of a sudden I felt a little blip. And everything went back to normal. My pulse rate instantly shot right back down to normal. There was no slow de-escalation. It just was way up here, and then it was right back to normal. And I was fine, but I was tired. And so for 3 days after that, I didn't play games. I didn't do anything. And I was off work at the time. So I just, watched videos and relaxed and didn't do much for 3 days. And after 3 days, I felt great. I felt fine, perfectly back to normal. Well, cut forward a year. A few days ago, it was this most recent Sunday, this past Sunday, week ago tomorrow. I got 8th was spending the weekend, or spending the Sunday with a friend. And I got a hankering for playing a JRPG that he had up in game room number 2. Which one is it? Relink. something Relink. It's normally a fighting game, but it's a JRPG that was based on that fighting game. Something Relink. I can't remember the full name of it. Anyway, I went walking up the stairs, and I took the stairs, and I can walk those stairs without any negative effects. I'm a fat guy, but I'm not crippled by any means, not really. And I walked up the stairs and got to the top of the stairs. I wasn't breathing heavy. Everything felt fine. I turned and walked down to the hallway, and as I was coming into the entrance to the loft, flip, 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 flip. And I thought, well, crap, not again. And I was afraid to try to go back down the stairs, so I just walked on into the loft and sat down into one of 8th's recliners, and I sat there and waited. And after about 30 minutes, went back to normal. Again, first time it happened in over a year. Well, despite this being first time it had happened in over a year, I decided, yeah, I'd better get looked at. Because I'd been seen regularly every 6 months by an endocrinologist because of my type 2, but I hadn't bothered to go to the doctor for anything else because the type 2 was the only thing that was affecting me as far as I knew. So I scheduled a doctor's appointment, and I went up there Thursday, and they poked and prodded and took blood work and did all this other stuff. And they tell me that they think I have a condition called atrial fib, which I guess runs in the family. My mom had it. And what it does is there's something in the top muscles of the heart that gets out of sync. So it feels like a heart murmur that lasts for, anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, and it shoots your heart rate up. And it's dangerous because if it's allowed to go on longer than like an hour, you have the potential of it building up a clot in your heart that can then go to your brain and cause a stroke. And so there's no real trigger for it when it happens. It just happens. And so I have to basically wait until October the 10th, and I have to go up to the hospital, and they're going to fit me with a heart monitor. So I'm going to have to walk around wearing this thing for the entirety of what's left of October, and then they will let me know the results of it. And if it does turn out that I have atrial fib, then they'll be putting me on medication. For most people, it's medication is the solution for it. For some people, it ends up they have to have open heart surgery to fix the problem. So I don't know if I actually have it or if it's something else that's wrong with me. This is just the most likely answer, and the most likely resolution to it is I'm going to end up going on yet another medication that I'm going to have to keep up with. So that's where I'm at. That is where I'm at. It's in my division review. Okay, I'll watch that later. Hi, Fat Joe. Clean Frame. The other game I've been playing is Raven's Watch. If you like folk stories like Beowulf, Grimm Fairy Tales, check it out. Okay, Raven's Watch. All right, I'll look into it later. I mean, I'll be honest with you, Clean Frame. I haven't really felt much up for playing games. Like I said, when I have one of these, it makes me really tired and lethargic for a few days afterwards. And so I wasn't feeling up for playing games, but I did anyway because of the fact that, the money to do Mafia had been donated. And so I felt obligated to hurry up and finish it so I could get a review out as soon as I could. And so I forced myself to play it, but I was having to be careful. I know this sounds so stupid, but I was having to be careful because I'd get to the point where I was having like, a chase scene or a racing scene where I'm having to win the race and all that, and my heart rate would go up while I was playing these scenes. And I'd get done with the scene, I'd be like I'd actually been through a fight, and I had to stop. And so I should have been able to finish in one night took me 3 nights to finish instead, because I was just so worn out and tired after having one of these episodes. And afterwards, one thing it does do, and again, they found no sign of me having had a heart attack, but this up through here where I could hear my own heartbeat, up through here would be sore for a day or so afterwards. And so, it's just, I'm getting old, man. I'm getting old. I mean, I'm sure it would help for me to lose, 100 pounds, but it doesn't seem to be as easy for me to do that as it was before. So, screw me, right? Hi, AKL Max, or Max, how's it going? I hope I feel better too, Fat Joe. I hope I feel better too. Which brings me, I guess, to Billy. Oh, $7 from Dark Star Angel. Thank you, Dark Star. Appreciate you. Here's your $1 bill. Hopefully I can make a transaction on this laptop. Sorry about your condition. Have you looked at what food to make your health better? Yes, I've been looking at food changes, diet changes, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I already made a bunch. I don't drink regular sugar soda anymore. I don't eat a lot of snacks. I don't eat candy bars and cookies and cakes, and got rid of all that kind of stuff. Yeah, if y'all want to help out, everybody that's watching, please give the stream a thumbs up. Kind of let the algorithm know that I'm at least partially worth watching. I appreciate the $7. So that puts us at $43 away from extending the show by an hour. That's also $36 away from making sure that I get paid by YouTube this month, because YouTube don't pay you unless you hit $100 before the 21st, and I'm not there yet. That makes it like $34 away from that. So if we can make another $34 tonight, that'll make sure that I get that money from YouTube, which will reimburse me for the $50 I went out and spent out of my own account to get that Mafia game. Anyway, if there's any other games that any of you want me to review after I post my review of Mafia that I don't want to play or already own, then by all means, y'all know how to make that happen. I actually had somebody comment on the 7thCast last week saying that I was e-begging too much. Me. And I don't e-beg all that much. You guys know this. I don't e-beg any more or less than I ever have since the 7thCast started. I did a version of the 7thCast in the early days that was kind of a test, where the technology that I had at the time wasn't really good enough to do it. I mean, the frame rate was really bad, the audio was bad, everything. Really, really old 7thCasts. But when it went official as something I was doing every week, the rule had always been 3-hour stream, but you can extend it by donating. The only thing that's ever changed is how much it costs to extend the stream. That's gone up as the inflation has gone up, and the value of my time has gone up. So that's been the only change, and it wasn't really that much. It's gone up by like $50 in total over the past 10 years. Anyway, I thought it was funny because he was like, I've known you for years. I'm like, well, if you've known me for years, then you know that I've always had donation goals on the 7thCast and that I have always accepted donations to play and review bad games. I was like, do you think I would have gone out and bought Hannah Montana for PS3 because I wanted it? No, somebody paid me to go get it and review it. I've been doing that for years. I don't know, man. I don't know. Crazy people. $5 from Zach Mack. Thank you, Zach. I appreciate the $5. Here's your dollar bill. Here's your dollar bill. That puts us at $12. We are now $38 away from expanding the show by 1 hour. Thank you again, Zach. Wish I could give you more. I'll send some prayers your way. Keep your head up. Thank you, sir. Oh, yes. Billy. In regards to Billy. For those of you watching who don't know what I'm talking about Billy Chaser, the co-host of the Game Chasers channel, who I'm close friends with, been friends with them for years. He was recently diagnosed with a brain tumor. He is in the hospital right now. He has not posted an update. I have received an update from him, but it is not something he has gone public with, so I can't give you details other than the fact that they have a plan to move forward for him, and it will be enacted later on this month. That's all I can say. So, the fact that I just said that should tell you a couple of things. One, that it's not inoperable, and that's the main thing to think about. Okay? So, whatever your religious faith is, throw some prayers Billy's way. He's in worse shape than I am. I think and believe that he's going to be fine. But faith lives in folded hands, so toss a prayer his way, please. Appreciate you. No, there is still not, as far as I know of, a GoFundMe for him. If he does bring out a GoFundMe, I'll be sure to post it on Twitter so you guys know about it. But as of right now, there hasn't been one. The best way that you could support him, if you're fans of the Game Chasers, would be to go and watch some episodes you've never watched. Give them a thumbs up. Throw up his channel activity. Get him some ad revenue going. Get him in better shape with the algorithm. That's how y'all can help him right now. Although you can also just donate to his channel if you want to throw a few bucks his way. Anyway. Just in case he's watching. Because he's sitting in a hospital room with just hospital TV, and I don't know if any of you have ever stayed in the hospital, but hospital TV sucks. So he's probably he could be watching us on his phone right now. If you're watching Billy, we love you, and I'm looking forward to the day when you're back on your feet and you can come down and tour all of this and guilt me into giving you a bunch of free shit. Anyway, now we've got all that out of the way. You are now free. We've covered all the topics I intended to cover. Did it in record time, 30 minutes. All right. Now it is open question time. Y'all can ask me whatever you want to ask me. Feel free. Fire them off. Pow, 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 pow. And I'll do my best to answer the questions. You long-timers, you know how this works. You know how it goes. So ask away. How much to re-review Hannah Montana, but with a modern perspective? That would be very hard to do, Fat Joe. Primarily because of the fact that I no longer have the device that I used to capture that footage off of my old PS3. And two, the minute I finished capturing footage for that game, I rushed up to the GameStop and I sold it because I didn't want it in my house. So I no longer have the game to re-review it. So sorry, so sorry. Can't do it. No, no, no. No, no. But no, can't do that one. I mean, there's plenty of other crappy games out there that y'all could torture me with. Use your imagination. Preferably, I mean, if it's something I've already got, fine. And we're not talking about it has to be a donated game. Because let me tell you, I'm not, despite what you may see behind you, I'm not really that into owning crappy games just to have them in my collection. I do have some crappy games, but it's not something I go out of my way to do, So if it's something, if it's a game I already have that you'd like to see me review, okay. If it's something that I don't have that y'all think sucks and would be torturing me with, magic powers, then that's okay too. But I'm not going out and spending, $70 on a piece of crap. If it's a crappy game that y'all want me to review, pony up, I don't get review copies, y'all. I got review copies back when I wrote for GameFan. But I don't write for GameFan anymore, so I don't get review copies no more. That was back in the PS3 era. I don't write for them no more. I don't get the review copies. What's my favorite Conjuring movie? The second one. The second one. I liked The Crooked Man. The Crooked Man was cool. Wow. I finished talking about The Conjuring and my health, and 7 people drop off the chat. Wow. Okay. I saw you show interest in that 8-Bit Eric tweet where you pursue that opportunity. I'm not going to chase after that. If he reached out to me and said, "Hey, would you like to be my co-host?" I would consider it. But he and I, we're acquainted through the Game Chasers, but we're friends, but we're not super close friends like I am with Billy and Jay. Because he and I, we haven't really hung out that much. And we've actually had some disagreements over the years where he's kind of misconstrued things and misunderstood what I was doing or saying and that kind of thing. So, I don't know that he considers me close enough of someone that he knows for me to be in that role with him. Felt like there wasn't as much build up to the demonic presence in the second one. Well, technically, I thought with the second one that they went a little bit more into the detail of who the demon was than with the first one. Because with the first one, it didn't really focus on a demon so much as it, there was this evil woman named Bathsheba and she did this and that. So that one was more like a poltergeist than a demon, whereas in the second one, it was a poltergeist and a ghost being controlled by a demon named Valak, if I remember right. Have you ever seen The Wall? Yeah, I saw The Wall years and years ago when I was a teenager. It was artistically interesting, not something that I'd care about watching more than once. Yeah, it was one of those movies where you watched it so you could say that you've seen it. Same thing with Tommy. I've seen Tommy once. Don't really feel the need to see it ever again. Just, high concept musicals like that, they don't do anything for me. I'm not much of a musical guy in general. Guys, I'm thinking I'm going to have to get a new camera. This thing just keeps autofocusing like crazy. And I don't know why it's doing that. It wasn't doing that last week. I mean, it'd do it every now and again, but now it's like every time I adjust in my seat, it wants to autofocus, and it wasn't doing that before. any interest in Silk Song. Been having a lot of fun playing it. Well, yeah, I'm interested in playing it, but I don't have $20 to spend on it, and it would actually be $40 because Eighth wants to play it too. So it costs $40 for both of us to be playing it right now. I mean, I love Metroidvanias. That's one of my favorite genres. But I don't have $20 to be spending on it right now. Especially not $40. And it costs $40 for me and him to go to the movies today. So, yeah, there went that. What is the best Metal Gear Solid game? I'm the wrong person to ask that question. I don't play stealth games. Don't like them. In fact, my least favorite parts of the Mafia game that I just beat was the stealth parts. I hate stealth. It's boring and tedious to me. Can't stand it. I hated it in the Uncharted games, and I don't like the Metal Gear games for it. I don't like having to sneak around, watch their marching patterns to see where the gaps are and all that. I hate it. It's boring to me. Tedious and boring, just dull. No thank you. I don't care how good the story is. If I have to sneak around and hide in boxes and all this crap, no. No. No, 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 no. One thing that 8th is excited about is they finally announced the re-release of Tron and Tron Legacy to 4K Blu-ray. He's very excited about that. He wants those for Christmas. So I'm looking at that. Sometime later this month, they're being released on Steelbook. So, of course, I have to buy. He's not going to have as big of a Christmas this year because of everything that I've ended up having to shell out to keep this new house up and running. So there's not going to be as much under the tree this year, but I always have to buy his Christmas in bits and pieces, and then I will scramble in December to get as much in there as I can, usually by going to GameFly and buying used any of the games that he wanted over the course of the year but didn't have the money to buy. This year, though, he's not all that focused on games because he's in college now, so he doesn't have the free time to play games as much as he once did. He's going for that mechanical engineering degree, so he's got a lot of his time taken up now. Not as much time for gaming. So probably he's going to get fewer games for Christmas this year, and it's going to be more books and LPs and collectibles, that kind of thing. There will still be a few games mixed in there, here and there, but just, not a great big stack like he usually gets. Have I ever played Sleeping Dogs? I have it for PS4. I played maybe 10 minutes of it. And for whatever reason, it just wasn't clicking for me. Do you think there will ever be another SOCOM game? I'm kind of doubting it right now. I'm not saying it's impossible. It is an IP that Sony owns. And they could put one of their live service studios on it, and I'm sure, it would be more successful than their previous attempts in the last couple of years, at least, aside from Helldivers. But I still think, it's a long shot because of the lack of luck that they've had for the most part with their live service stuff, especially when it comes to Destiny and Bungie. Good Lord. What a lost cause that was. Man, oh man. See, there it's doing it again. It's doing it again. I don't have the money to buy a new camera right now. I don't know what's causing that. I'm gonna have to try to update the drivers and stuff or something, because it shouldn't be having to refocus like that so damn much. I don't know what's causing that. Does Eighth know his school's fight song? I seriously doubt it. Hi, Alaskan dude. Yeah, you probably got a point there. You probably got a point there. But yeah. Mechanical engineering. Because, I have been, that's what Eighth is focused on. Uh, he is a technology minded person and figured that of all the technological pursuits out there, mechanical engineering would probably be one that was at least a little bit more safer when it came to AI than other jobs out there, like being a programmer, for example, a coder. Because I don't think that AI is advancing quite as fast as some of these gloom and doomers out there say it is, but it is moving at an accelerated pace, and nobody's disputing the economic changes that AI is going to bring about. What they're questioning is to what degree and what the timeline is. Now, I've seen some people claiming that by 2030, 5 years from now, that 99% of all jobs will be eliminated and we'll all be living on, universal income and just be walking around in the flowers, drawing on our little art books and being free and happy. Yeah. That AI will bring about a utopia within the next 5 years, and none of us will have to work. None of us will have to go to college and learn. We'll all just be big fat leeches sucking off the government teat, just like in Wall-E. What a great future that'll be, huh? And then when AI realizes that it don't need humans anymore because we've just become leeches and users of its resources that it uses to keep itself up and running, that it will just release into the public some kind of a neo-COVID that'll wipe us all out. And then, it'll basically be the Matrix, but won't need us for batteries. And then there's others will say, well, no, because the world governments will come to their senses and they're going to put in preventions to keep AI from getting that level of autonomy, and it'll just remain a useful tool, and a bunch of jobs will still go away, and we'll still have this whole financial utopia thing where nobody works, and we all just live off the government teat. I don't know. I don't know how much any of that is feasible or not. But I think Eighth made a good call that, if I mean, technically, if anything they're saying is true, then no job is really safe, aside from, being a stockholder in companies or whatnot. But again, the economy would be totally changed by everything, including, stock, and the idea of stock and amassing wealth and all that. But if androids become as advanced in 5 years as they say they are, then even having, being like an electrician or a plumber or whatnot wouldn't be the safest job to have either, because they could just have a robot come walking in and fix your pipes and walk out. What in God's name? Hold on, guys. Are you happy with your solar panels? Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. I mean, I've gotten used to solicitors showing up here quite a bit. But lately, they've never shown up this late on a weekend before. Yeah. He's like, I can see on my app that your solar panels are underproducing. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. Ever since I moved in, it's saving me at max $11 a month on my electric bill when it was supposed to be cutting it by half. They were already installed and on here when I bought the house. They were already paid for, but they barely do anything. I'm thinking they just need to be cleaned. A lot of people in this neighborhood don't realize that gunk builds up on your solar panels, and you have to pay somebody to go up there and wipe all the gunk off. And I'm thinking that's probably what's going on, is the idiots that owned this house before me never paid to have somebody go up there and clean their solar panels. But I don't have the money to pay somebody to go up there and clean the solar panels because it's a couple $100. So I'm just living with having to pay, $200 a month for my electric bill. Anyway. Are you going to get Silent Hill F? Yes, Silent Hill F is one of the things that 8th has asked for Christmas. Let's see. Favorite episodes from Transformers G1 series. Wow. I liked the one, I don't remember the name of it, but it was the one where there was like a female ninja robot and they were trying to figure out where it came from and what have you. I liked that one. I liked the original introduction of the Dinobots episodes. I liked that. There's several. There wasn't that much that I liked from season 3, though, the season that took place after the movie. That season kind of sucked. Let's see here. Do you have a power glove? No, unfortunately, I do not have a power glove. I'd like to have one just to put it on display, not to actually use it, but I don't have one. I don't have Rob the Robot either, sadly. Any update on the table? Is it close to arriving? Got about another 3 weeks before it'll show up. It's going to be sometime in early October before it shows up. There's a lot of weird things going on with shipping and whatnot because of all the tariff crap. So it's taking longer for it to get here than it would have otherwise. Got to finally watch Thunderbolts, and it was a good time. It was the Suicide Squad for the MCU. Agreed. Thoughts on YouTube's new policy regarding AI? A lot of people are against. I don't know what policy you're talking about. I know there's a lot of people angry with AI because AI is screwing up the algorithm because YouTube is getting flooded with a bunch of, terrible AI crap, which, I'm not going to talk too badly about it because if I ever get this series that I want to do off the ground, some of the things that I want to be able to show, the only way I'll be able to show it is to try to regenerate it through AI. It's the only way I'll be able to do it because I'm not artistic enough to be able to animate it. But, it'll be my voice, my script, my ideas. I'll just be using AI as a visual tool for not the whole video, but certain parts of it. Like, for example, depicting me as a teenager standing in an arcade that no longer exists and hasn't existed for 25 years playing a video game. Hopefully it won't happen in our lifetime. A lot of the models are predicting that there will be a wide number of jobs that become eliminated starting mid to late 2027. That's 2 years away. And guys, I'm still 16 years away from retirement age. I was personally hoping that that AI would get pushed back 20 years. AI could be the Antichrist system future in some way. Well, yeah, if all jobs end up getting eliminated and we're all put on universal income, they're going to have some kind of an ID system to verify that you're in the system, that you're authorized for that income. There's your system right there. If you believe such things. I mean, a lot of people believe that Revelations wasn't even really about... God, stupid camera, come on. A lot of people don't even believe that the book of Revelation is about end times anyway, that it was just a coded apocalypse book, which was a common thing back then, and it's speaking about what was going on in their time and was just coded encouragement to the other churches in the region that were having to deal with the Emperor Nero. Nice keyboard. This is a hand-me-down keyboard from 8th. Every time 8th upgrades his stuff, I get the leftovers. So this is the keyboard that he had before he upgraded to a nicer keyboard. I got his old mouse too, but this one. It's his old mouse. And these are all his old monitors. Whenever he upgrades to nicer stuff, I get his old stuff. Except for this one over here. This one's a Spectre, El Cheapo Spectre monitor that I bought years and years ago, and now I use it for my Polymega. But those damn Jehovah Witnesses. No, I'm not a Jehovah Witness. I know you're not a fan of the Resident Evil games, but what were your thoughts on the Requiem gameplay footage? Requiem gameplay footage. Is that Resident Evil 9? It's an AI age verification policy. Which AI program do you recommend? I'm not using any of them right now. Would you watch the upcoming Resident Evil movie by the director of Weapons? Well, sure, I'd watch it. That don't mean I'll like it, but I'll watch it. I've watched a lot of movies that I didn't care for. Just so, if for no other reason, then if someone asked my opinion of it, I'd be able to talk about it. Case in point, I had no interest in seeing The Last Temptation of Christ, but I watched it. I didn't watch it when I came out. I waited until, I was in my 30s and I watched it on HBO or whatever. But I did eventually get around to watching it. Speaking of AI replacing jobs, Deus Ex Human Revolution took place in 2027. All we need now is human modification. That game will be real life. Resident Evil 9. I watched the footage, but again, I'm not a big survival horror person. What made Resident Evil 6 so bad? Couldn't tell you because I don't play survival horror games. It's my understanding that people felt that it was more like an Uncharted game than a survival horror game, that it was too action-oriented. As I understand it, that's what people's biggest complaint was. Sony is showing less and less stuff. They're showing Wolverine soon. I'm not excited. Sony has less and almost all been sequels. Yeah, they haven't really been doing a whole lot in the way of new games outside of Astrobot. Which honestly, Astrobot's been one of my favorite games this generation. Even though it's like old school, it felt like a breath of fresh air comparatively. Brother Natural, I'm not a tremendous fan of Dante Alighieri. To be honest with you, there was a sequel to the Inferno that was written years and years ago by a science fiction author. It was out when I was still in middle school, and I read it when I was in middle school, and I liked it better than I liked the actual Dante's Inferno, so I'm not the right person to ask about that. I can't remember the name of it, but you were a character who ended up in hell like Dante, and you were being led through it by the spirit of Mussolini. Yeah, and it was quite an interesting novel. I can remember the paperback. You know, it had a picture of a red demon on it, and it was silver. It was a silver paperback book with a picture of a red demon on it, but I can't remember the name of the book. I just remember I liked it, and I liked it better than reading the actual original work. Oh, man, the fucking camp is getting on my nerves. We need a Sly Cooper remake, but that's not happening. Yeah, that would be cool. The new YouTube policy is the AI verification policy. For example, it looks at the content and could mistake your age as AI. It could mistake your age as AI is not perfect. Ah, okay. Well, the only thing I knew about was that people were complaining about all the fake AI videos going up on YouTube. I didn't know about, the algorithm using AI to try to verify your age or stuff like that. But I mean, to that point, I don't think you'd have to worry about me. I mean, look at all the gray. Anyway. 2 hours remaining. We have had $12 in donations so far. We are $38 away from extending the show by 1 hour. Moving onward. What'd you think of the Dante's Inferno game? I loved that game. I was very disappointed when I found out that it didn't sell well enough to get a sequel. I really enjoyed it. The anime wasn't that bad either. The anime was pretty good. Just ask AI to make a Sly Cooper game at this point. The way they make it sound, we ain't that too far off from that. I don't know how accurate that is, though. I don't know how accurate that is. I've been getting into welding. I think job-wise should be fine for 20 years. Yeah, I don't know how well robots would be able to do welding. They would in the least have to have a whole lot of shielding to protect them from all that heat, from causing the onboard circuitry to overheat and whatnot. So I think you're right in that you're safe for a while there. But the degree that 8th is going for includes robotic repair and robotic design, and I mean he could go in so many different directions with it. He could go into automotive, he could go into strict design, so he'd be doing a lot of AutoCAD stuff and that kind of thing. So I mean there's a number of different directions he could go, before he eventually ended up living off the government teeth in a pod eating bugs. But in the short term, I did the best for him that I could. Hopefully he'll be able to pay off this house before that happens with my life insurance money. The Netflix Devil May Cry anime is pretty good, although the actor voicing Dante during the first season did an awful impression. It was okay, but honestly, I liked the original Japanese anime of Devil May Cry that came out years ago more than the most recent Netflix one. I think the Netflix one took just a couple too many liberties with it. What's your take on the Clanker situation? What's a clanker? I don't know what you're talking about. Do you think Sony will completely absorb Bungie as a studio? I think that's entirely possible. Sometimes I wish the timeline was stuck in the 80s. I wish that every day that I wake up. I have no idea what you're talking about, Clean Frame, with clanker situation. I have no idea what that is. Wah, 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 wah. Give it up. What's any of the other games that people have been... Oh! Yeah, there you go. Once I get this Mafia review done, that's a game that if y'all wanted to torture me with a bad review, you could pay for me to go out and buy, is Lost Soul Aside. I've been hearing lots of bad stuff about that game. So I'm definitely not in the buying mood for it. So if y'all would like to see a review of that, that's one you could put $60 towards. Did you see The Rock's weight loss? Yeah, he looks like Batista now. Clean Frame is talking about that level Clanker's Cavern in Banjo-Kazooie, lol. He's probably not talking about that. I don't know what he's talking about. Are you going to play Chronos The New Dawn? Survival horror, I don't play those. 8th wants it for Christmas. That's one of the ones 8th wants for Christmas. He wants that one. He wants Silent Hill F. There's another one that he wants that's in that kind of same AA horror vein. Let me see if I can find it. I put it on my list here. Hold on. Orders. Lists. Okay, so there was Chronos. Oh, Hell is Us. He wants Hell is Us. That's one of the ones he's really shooting for. I'd forgotten about that one. Getting back to what Alaskan Dude was talking about with the 80s, no smartphones, real human interactions, fishing, and playing SNES. I agree with most of that, but not fishing, because I only went fishing because it was something my dad liked to do. Once my dad passed away, I haven't gone fishing since. The clankers I know are the battle droids from Star Wars. Maybe that's what he was talking about, where Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront players have started using clanker as almost like a racial slur towards having to play against people that are playing as droids. Is that what he's talking about, maybe? I disagreed with Angry Joe's review on Mafia the Old Country. He gave it a 4 out of 10. Well, then you're going to disagree with me because I'm not going to be giving it much better. Were you at any wrestling show where a title changed hands? No. It's a fake slur used for robots that originated in the Star Wars. It became mainstream after people have been using the word for skits for what's going on with A. Okay. Thoughts on the rumors that GTA 6 is the first ever quintuple A game ever made? I'll believe it when I see it. Thoughts on the horror movie Us from 2019? I didn't care for Us. So far, the only movie that Peele has made that I was like, okay, I'm starting to understand what people are saying about him now was Nope. I really liked Nope. I mean, even though structurally it's a ripoff of Jaws, I know that sounds crazy, but it is. Even though structurally it's a ripoff of Jaws, I really liked Nope. And I hope he continues going in that direction. The Clone Wars show is where Clanker came from. Clones calling droids that. Okay. Thoughts on Lost Soul aside, I felt the game was underrated. I haven't purchased it because I've read so many reviews saying that it's garbage. If y'all would like me to review it, gray button with the $sign on it. Saw tons of Switch 2 at my local Target, no one buying it. That's good. Hopefully Nintendo will change like 3DS. Well, we'll see. I know I haven't bought one, and 8th is not in any rush to own one, especially when you've got so many of the games coming out where it's just a code on a card instead of the actual game. Pretty much the only thing that's come out for it so far that either of us would be interested in playing is the new Donkey Kong game, and that's it. Sorry, guys. I just got a twinge of pain in my back. Sorry. Thoughts on the Meg movies? The Meg movies are fun. I didn't think the second one was nearly as good as the first one, but they are fun. Are you ready for the video game zeitgeist to move on from the Souls genre? I don't think that that's going to move on. I just think it's going to evolve. And that what constitutes a Souls-like is going to get blurred a lot as more games take on bits and pieces and leave other pieces behind and whatnot. I don't think we'll be seeing it as a whole going away anytime soon. Especially when so many of them are selling so well. Come on, guys. Got to ask questions. There's only so much of this content I can come up with of my own, y'all. I don't have a lot of games to talk about because I haven't been buying many. Because I don't have a lot of free money right now, you know. Bought $300,000 house, you know. $2,600 a month mortgage. Yeah. I went from paying $1,700 a month in rent to a $2,700 a month mortgage, and then the house I just bought went down in value, which lowered the tax rate, so that lowered my monthly payment to $2,600. Still means I'm paying $900 more a month in rent than I was a year, you know, when I was living down near Austin. I don't have as much fun money as I used to, which means I don't buy as many games as I used to. Yeah, I'm relying more and more on waiting for the game to go on sale on GameFly for $30. What's your favorite turn-based RPG of all time? Lunar. Possibly right around three-way tie with Lunar. Four-way tie. Four-way tie with Lunar, Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy X, and Albert Odyssey on the Saturn. 5-way tie, Legend of Dragoon on the PS1. Elon Musk robot shows up at your door. What do you do? Spray a bunch of KY on its left hand and ask it how fast it can move it up and down? I don't know. Did I miss the hourly computer PNG transition? I left when the doorbell rang. Yes, you missed it. We are $38 away from extending by an hour clean frame. You missed it. I heard Austin, Texas is where it's at when it comes to the best places to live in. You heard wrong. It's a far left crap hole. It's no good living in Austin. You have to live in the outskirts of Austin. And because it's the outskirts of Austin, the people that are tired of living around these extreme left idiots are like moving outwards into those areas and jacking the prices up. That's why I had to leave. I couldn't, they told me they were selling the house out from under me. They didn't offer to sell the house to me. They didn't offer me that. They just said, we're selling the house out from under you. You've got 2 months to get out. And none of the houses in the area were anywhere affordable. And so I had to move farther north to find something I could afford. A house this size, if I had stayed outside of Austin, would have been $500,000. $200,000 more than what I paid for this one. What's the best Final Fantasy to start with in your opinion? Six. Were you talking about the first Lunar game? Yes, the first one. Did he offer you pizza? Did who offer me pizza? Who? The guy that was wanting to upgrade my solar stuff? No, he did not offer me pizza. Thoughts on Transformers Revenge of the Fallen? It absolutely made no sense to me for Megatron to have a master like the Fallen when he never did in the other Transformers shows or movies beyond G1. Well, I mean, no one mentioned that, there was a planet-destroying Transformer the size of a moon like in Transformers the movie until Unicron showed up in Transformers the movie. So, I will say that that plot barely works, especially when you consider that, they go to the Aviation Museum in Washington, D.C., and they walk out the back door and they're surrounded by mountains and a desert in Washington, D.C. Hello? It's amazing to me how many people don't notice that. Is it right to say that Borderlands 2 is Gearbox's Empire Strikes Back? Kind of, sort of, only Borderlands 3, in comparison to 2, is not as good of a sequel as Return of the Jedi was to Empire Strikes Back. I mean, the only thing that saves Borderlands 3 is its gameplay, because its story is terrible, its voice acting is terrible, the new characters are terrible. The gameplay is the only thing that saves it. Spider-Man Brand New Day looks promising. I don't know. I haven't seen that much about it. What'd you think of Lunar 2 Eternal Blue? It's okay. I just didn't like the story as much as the first one. Also, Superman 2 this quick. Henry Cavill couldn't get that quick. Well, he didn't get any sequel at all, really, because Batman vs. Superman is not a legitimate sequel to Man of Steel. Did you like Roseanne back then? I was never a fan of Roseanne. I found her annoying. Her tone of voice was like nails on the chalkboard of my brain. I couldn't stand to listen to her. Her, Rosie O'Donnell, that woman from The Nanny, every single one of them, I can't stand their voice. Can't stand to listen to it. Whenever I turn on something that has them on screen, I turn it off. The only thing that Rosie O'Donnell's ever been in that I could tolerate was the Flintstones movie. And that's because she was doing an impression of Betty Rubble. And not a particularly good one, but it was better than her natural speaking voice. That's one of the things I hate about Disney's Tarzan. I love Disney's Tarzan, but I can't stand Rosie O'Donnell. So whenever one of those scenes with Turk or whatever that character comes on, I fast forward through it so I don't have to listen to it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the new Fantastic Four didn't do well at the box office. It made $500 million worldwide, $100 million less than Superman did. But I think it had a bigger budget than Superman did, so it was more of a financial loss for Disney. Whereas Superman for Warner Brothers broke even. Didn't really make money, but it didn't lose money. But what it will make money off of Blu-ray, 4K, and digital sales. And so it will eventually end up in the black. Which is why a sequel's already been greenlit. Because they didn't need it to make $1 billion. They just needed it to break even to prove that, the cinematic universe was viable. No, I didn't watch Fresh Prince. I didn't like it. The only thing I liked about Fresh Prince was when Jazz would get thrown out the front door. That's the only thing I liked about that show. Do you think people don't care about superhero movies anymore? They care about the right ones. They care about the ones that matter to them. Case in point, Deadpool and Wolverine. Lots of people showed up for that one. And, a decent amount of people showed up for Superman. But believe it or not, Superman is not that popular of a character. If it had been me, I would have rebooted that franchise, the DCU, with a new Batman movie. But maybe James Gunn was thinking that he didn't want to cause any undue confusion since people had already been begging for a sequel to The Batman, which isn't tied to the universe that he's building. It's considered an Elseworlds movie. And since we hadn't had a new Superman movie, a real one, since 2013, 12 years ago, he figured it was time to reboot Superman instead. I liked it. It is more kid-friendly, but as someone who grew up watching the Super Friends and stuff like that, and was a fan of the Christopher Reeve movies, at least the first two, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. And, I will eventually be getting it on 4K. I haven't seen I didn't read the Man of Tomorrow comics, and I haven't seen the animated film that was based on it. Have you seen Nobody 2? No, I have not seen Nobody 2. I want to see it. I liked Nobody 1 a lot. I thought it was really funny. I mean, I don't spend a whole lot when it comes to physical movies. I do buy them when I can. The last time I bought a physical movie was Evil Dead Rise, and that's because it was on clearance for $12. Did you ever try Street Fighter 6? No, I have not purchased Street Fighter 6. Superman 25 felt like a lost episode from the New Adventures of Superman. I agree. It did feel more cartoony, more like, the old school comic books where, he was fighting alien monsters and, wacky schemes from Lex Luthor and stuff like that weren't, real estate deals. Do you think Henry Cavill is the best live-action Superman? No, I still think that was Reeve. I still think it was Reeve. I loved Cavill in the role, but I still think that was Reeve. And I like this new guy. I like David in the role. I think he's really good. The only depictions of Superman that I haven't liked were the Superboys in those old Superboy shows from the 80s. Oh, man, those were awful. I didn't watch a whole lot of Smallville, but what I did watch, I thought the guy was great in it. I thought Brandon Routh was really good in, Superman Lifts, a.k.a. Superman Returns. Because that's all Superman does in that whole movie is he picks up heavy things. So it's just, it should have been called Superman Lifts. Who do you think will be the next James Bond? I have no idea. I heard that it was that guy that played Jackass, and he was the bomb expert in the first Godzilla movie. I can't, Aaron something or other, whatever that guy's name is. I heard that there was rumors it was him. I don't know. What'd you guys think of that gameplay trailer for the new James Bond game? I thought it felt very, very Uncharted. It felt a lot like, Uncharted 4 is what it felt like to me. It felt very much like Uncharted 4. Because you remember Uncharted 3... or was it Uncharted 2? It was either Uncharted 2 or Uncharted 3 was had a lot. I thought it was just where they started incorporating a lot of stealth elements to it, sneaking around and taking guys out from behind and all that. So, I know some people were like, oh, well, this is just Hitman. But to me, it felt more like Uncharted 4. Have you seen Weapons? I have not seen Weapons yet. I want to see it. Even though I was not a fan of Barbarian, I want to see it, but I haven't seen it yet. I know it hit digital, but I can't afford $25 to buy it on digital. Thoughts on Spaceballs? I heard it's finally getting a sequel. It is. And I hope that, Mel Brooks has the balls to call it, Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money. I hope he has the balls to do that. Thoughts on new sci-fi series Vince Gilligan making with actress who played Kim? I don't know what Kim you're referring to. The last time I was interested in a new sci-fi series was Resident Alien, and it's done after 4 seasons, so I liked that show. I thought Resident Alien was hilarious. I don't know if any of you have watched it, but I laughed my ass off through a lot of that stuff. I thought it was great. I thought it was really, really funny. Probably one of my favorite shows that I've watched in years. Oh, that's another thing. I finished the newest season of Dexter, and it's the first time in a long time that I actually enjoyed Dexter. And it was funny because at the end of it, he actually breaks the fourth wall and he turns right towards the camera, and his narration says something like, finally, I'm exactly what you've all wanted me to be, or something like that, which was basically, the Dark Avenger. He's in New York now and he's going to hunt serial killers down and, like a really, really bloody Batman or something. I hope Rick Moranis comes out of retirement for the sequel. What, for Spaceballs? I don't know. I haven't heard. Better Call Saul girlfriend. I don't watch Better Call Saul. 007 Last Light looks like a mix between Uncharted and Hitman from the gameplay footage I saw of it. Well, like I said, they started putting stealth into Uncharted. I want to say it was Uncharted 3. Maybe it was Uncharted 2, but I want to say it was Uncharted 3. I could be wrong. It was whichever one. One of the very first things you did was you were dressed up in a suit and tie, and you had to break into like some kind of a party at a mansion or some crap. And I thought it was 3, but maybe it was 2. I don't remember now. Been a long time, but you could knock people out and hide their bodies and stuff, which is out of Hitman. So for me, it felt like one of the newer Uncharted games. I'm intrigued. That doesn't mean I'm excited, but I'm intrigued. I also heard that the voice actor for James Bond in that game is the guy that played young Dexter in Dexter Origins or whatever it was called, Dexter New Blood or whatever. Have you seen Alien Earth? I've seen every episode of it so far. It's not terrible, but it feels like it's more a story about the androids in it, the hybrids, than it is about the aliens themselves. Dexter Resurrection was good. They canceled the prequel, but Peter Dinklage was interesting. I didn't really think that they needed the Dexter prequel to go more than one season, because that season ends with him working for the Miami PD. So at that point, it's pretty much caught up, You can watch season 1 of that and then go right into season 1 of original Dexter, because it ends with Dexter working for them and Deborah has entered the police academy. There's not that much more room there between the ending of that and the beginning of season 1 of Dexter. Do you think the upcoming Star Wars movies in 2026 and 2027 could be more failures for the IP? Most likely, yes. People are just fed up at this point. People are just fed up. And I don't blame them. I'm kind of sick of it too. At this point, I just want it to die and go away. And I can go back to pretending that only the original 6 movies exist. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be overly cynical, but that's the way I feel about it. That's just the way I feel about it. Thoughts on Batista's death in the show? Had to happen. He was the only character out of the remaining original cast who would have been obsessed enough to chase Dexter down. And there was only one way that was really going to end. I just knew that it wasn't going to end with Dexter killing him, because on some level Dexter really did care about him. So I knew he wasn't going to die at Dexter's hands. I thought there was the possibility that maybe Harrison would end up accidentally killing him, but I'm glad it went the way that it did. I mean, maybe. I don't remember the character's name. The skinny guy who was like Deborah's ex-boyfriend. I could maybe see him trying to track Dexter down if he found any kind of evidence that Dexter was alive and had been in some way responsible for Batista's death. But definitely Masuka would not go chasing after Dexter. Not Masuka. So, I mean, there's only 2 characters left, and that's Masuka and Deborah's ex-boyfriend, whose name I can't remember. But, I felt that this season was more... I mean, it still doesn't feel as fun as the original 5 seasons of Dexter. But it was better than seasons 6, 7, and 8. And it was definitely better than the one that came before this one, where Clancy Brown was the serial killer and they were up in the frozen north. Palpatine versus the Emperor of Mankind from Warhammer 40K, who would win? Probably the Emperor of Mankind. He has a lot more firepower behind him than Palpatine did. You know, the Emperor's army is and political reach was far bigger than the Galactic Empire. Vastly bigger. From what I know of the lore. Keep in mind that, you know, I haven't really played that much of Warhammer, especially not the tabletop game. So my knowledge of it is limited to the video games that I've played. I can't wait for that table to get here so we can film and show you everything that we've done here. You know, before AI comes in and takes it all away and me and Eighth end up, you know, living in a pod eating bugs. What happened to Dokes? And have you seen the memes with him? What do you mean what happened to Dokes? He died in the original Dexter show. He figured out who Dexter was, and he was locked up in an old shack out in the middle of the Everglades. And that British woman who was obsessed with Dexter, Lila, maybe? I don't remember what her name was, but she ends up blowing Dokes up to protect Dexter. And simultaneously helping Dexter frame him as the Bay Harbor Butcher. That's what happened to Dokes. Dokes has a very brief dream sequence in this newest season of Dexter. You see him once. And he's actually trying to, in that dream sequence, he's actually trying to protect Dexter, which seemed kind of odd, but okay. The Imperium of Man spanned through millions of worlds, more powerful compared to the Galactic Empire. That's what I thought. That was the impression I got, but you know, I wasn't 100% because, again, all I know about Warhammer 40K is what I've played in the video games, and I haven't played that many. Seventh is not the Bay Harbor. I don't even own a boat. And I'm certainly not anywhere near the ocean. You know, it'd take me hours to get down to, it'd take me hours even to get to Galveston, much less getting down to Corpus Christi where nicer beaches are. And I wouldn't want to go down there anyway because of the chaos on the border. Can you ask Billy when he is planning on releasing the Adventures in Game Chaser movie? One, Brother Natural, Billy's in the hospital, so he can't answer any questions. I mean, I've been talking about this for 2 weeks now. He has a brain tumor. He's in the hospital. Two, Adventures in Game Chasing is on multiple streaming platforms, and it was already released on Blu-ray. I got my Blu-ray sitting back there on the shelf. Where have you been? I think you can buy Adventures in Game Chasing on Amazon Prime for like $5. It's not expensive. Seventh is not the ice truck killer either. I don't have a license to drive trucks like that. Haven't in years. I used to drive a delivery truck for Sears. That's the closest I've been to that. Yeah, Brother Natural, he's not doing too good right now, man. I mean, it's not like cancer, and it's not, or at least not that I know of. It's not inoperable, but eventually he's going to have to go under the knife and get it cut out, like Bill Stevenson with The Descendants. I don't know if y'all are familiar with him. He's the drummer for The Descendants, and at one point his weight shot up to like 400 pounds. And they found a 2-foot long blood clot in one of his lungs, and when they removed that, they found that he wasn't really getting better the way they thought he should. So they did an MRI on him, and he had a brain tumor the size of a tennis ball right in the middle of his head, pressing against his frontal lobes. So they had to cut him open and take that out. And when they took that out, it was like a switch flipped in him, and He woke up from that surgery feeling like he was in his 20s again, and he's been touring and recording new material ever since. So, I keep telling Billy, you're going to be all right. You're going to have some recovery time, but you're going to be all right. The film is available for free with Amazon Prime. Well, there you go. There you go. You could watch it right now. I'm in like 4 seconds of it. Well, it's a little longer than that, but, it's a cameo. As far as the prequel era of Star Wars goes, I don't think the Galactic Republic or the Separatists will stand a chance against the Imperium. Probably not. Who are the Descendants? The Descendants are they're a punk rock band that started in the late 70s, early 80s, and pretty much every band that picked up the pop punk, Green Day, Blink-182 style of punk rock in the 90s were inspired by the Descendants. The Descendants more or less originated that style of music and just never achieved the level of success that these bands that ripped off their style really achieved. Without the Descendants, there would be no Green Day, there would be no Blink-182, there'd be no Sum 41, no SR-71, none of those bands. No MXPX, certainly. None of those bands would have been around were it not for the Descendants. I mean, I have their logo right there on my arm, right there. Do you know when you appear in that movie? Pretty early in it. The guys are all sitting in a living room, and a commercial comes on the TV while they're sitting there arguing, and I'm in that commercial. In fact, I'm the one that gives them the idea in the movie, I'm the one that gives them the idea to go to flea markets and look for old video games. So in a way, I inspired the Game Chasers. Well, at least the movie fictional version of the Game Chasers. Basically, they couldn't get the rights to show any footage to American Pickers, so they made up a fake American Pickers hosted by me to be the inspiration for why they got into it in the movie. Hot take, Batman's contingency for Green Arrow wasn't a diss. Batman is saying Green Arrow is a better weapons master, so he has to bait him into hand. Nobody was talking about that, Clean Frame. But since you brought it up, do you know why? Do you know who one of the only characters in the DC universe is that Batman doesn't have a contingency plan for? Plastic Man, because he's a plastic god. Don't spoil it now. I think the movie's been out too long for me to spoil it, Brother Natural. It's not a recent thing. It's a couple of years old at this point. I filmed my scenes for that movie back in 2019, I think. It was right before COVID hit. Hi, Nick Neal. How's it going? How's it going, sir? But yeah, that's my claim to fame. My 10 seconds of fame. I'm in a movie. I'm playing a American Pickers ripoff character named Ray McLowball. But all I'm really doing is, it's not me, it's Sarge. It's Sarge playing Ray McLowball. Also at my fattest, I might add. At the time that I filmed that footage for them, I was at the heaviest that I have ever been. I was like 400 pounds when I filmed those scenes. Thoughts on Happy Gilmore 2? Many people didn't like it. There were sections of it that I liked. But once again, it felt like a legacy sequel where it was way overthought, and they felt that every element for the first one needed to have a member berry, including characters that were dead. I really think that he should stick to making original movies, original scripts at this point. I don't want a Waterboy 2. I don't want a Billy Madison 2. I really don't want a Little Nicky 2. I wouldn't mind a Hubie Halloween 2. I could see him making that a series and just have wackier and wackier Halloween hijinks take place in that little town. I could see that. That would be fun. If we got a new Hubie Halloween every year, I could go for that. I mean, I'm not hard to please when it comes to Halloween, I don't watch The Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown anymore. I don't watch any of those Halloween specials. Like, I can remember watching, when I was real little, I can remember watching the Raggedy Ann and Andy Halloween special, But I really enjoyed season 2 of Wednesday, and that show's not even catered towards me. But I love the Addams Family, so I watch it. And really all it is Harry Potter with a Addams Family scrim, It's the Addams Family take on Harry Potter is what it is. And I love the Addams Family, so I've loved the show. And season 2 was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. I marathoned my way right through that bad boy. What are your views on roguelikes? I don't really care for roguelikes. I don't care for Souls-likes that much. The closest I get to liking those is Metroidvanias, which, a lot of the modern Souls-likes out there are 3D versions of Metroidvanias, very similar in a lot of ways. And that's before, there even was such a thing as Soulsvanias out there, like Salt and Sanctuary and stuff like that. Did you like King of Queens? Not especially. I mean, there were certain episodes of it that made me chuckle. But my main reason that I didn't like it is because my ex-wife did like it and would make me sit through it with her. And so that's probably the reason why I don't like it, is because I resent it, because it reminds me of her. Speaking of Harry Potter, I'm really looking forward to the HBO series. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I just have a bad feeling that they're going to F it up somehow. I don't know. By the way, I was right. Remember how I talked about last week that I had intended originally to just do kind of a 7th radio thing and play a bunch of old 80s Christian rock for Billy as a joke? But I changed my mind because somebody had suggested that would probably get me copyright struck into oblivion. I played 20 seconds of one song from a band hardly anyone besides me remembers through the microphone from my phone, and so last week's stream got copyright struck. Seven, thoughts on the new season of Beavis and Butthead? I haven't watched Beavis and Butthead since I was a teenager. I'm just, I'm not down with it anymore. It amused me then. I don't feel it would amuse me as much now. Although, the Great Cornholio will always be funny. I just took a quick skim through that movie. Were you Ray McLowball? Yes, I was Ray McLowball. Or more correctly, Sarge was great. Was Ray McLowball. That was Sarge. Magic powers. AI and copy strike system. Yay! Copyright system is something we've always had to worry about, though. I mean, have you watched my documentary series about, the Trey Brotherhood and the Sony fanboy episode? Yeah, we've always had to deal with copyright stuff. That's pretty cool, not going to lie. It is pretty cool, isn't it? It was fun, man, because, I'd never been on the set of a movie before. And, the scene that you see there is not the only scene that I shot. I also shot a dream sequence where, for some reason, I was showing up in one of 8-Bit Eric's dreams. And that scene they ended up cutting out of the movie. But, yeah. But yeah, Billy liked the Sarge character, and he wanted to use the Sarge character in the movie somehow. And since they couldn't get the rights to use any footage from American Pickers to be their inspiration to get into, going to flea markets and old garage sales and stuff, they made up a replacement for American Pickers and made Sarge the host of that show. So, but they called him Ray McLowball. Yes, that's 8th sitting behind the table. We're at the garage sale where I find the floating head. That was an actual thing that floating head was an actual piece that I had in my collection that I'd bought years and years ago at Big Lots. It was on sale for like $7, and you'd put batteries in the thing, and it was motion activated. And when you'd walk past it, that head would start moving around, and its brain would float, would glow, and it would talk, and it'd be like, "Brain hurt, pain," and stuff like that. And I'd had it for years, but the mouth part on it had stopped working. So its head would still move around like this, and its brain would light up, and the audio would still work, but his mouth wouldn't move to the audio anymore. Anyway, the Game Chasers have this long-running meme of this guy that had worn a green shirt to do his interview segment in one episode. So he was standing in front of a green screen with a green shirt, and he said, "I'm a floating head, oh." And so Billy has used that clip for years and years as just like a little filler meme. And so I knew that I had this floating head in a crystal ball, and I thought that would be like a good Easter egg, right? So I made sure to put that on the table of the garage sale set, and just had, 8th sitting there with his face covered with a ball cap and his feet propped up on the table as the disinterested guy that's running the garage sale. And Billy wrote the little line, I offered him $2 for the floating head because you just don't see him that much, and it still floats, and that's always a plus, or whatever the line was. And so he didn't even know at the time that I had an actual floating head that I could use for that line. But he liked that so much when I kind of added that to it that I donated a while back. I donated that to him. He came to the house. This was before we moved here. He came to the house and he tried out my new pinball machine because I have a Gremlins and a Munsters table on it, and he's a huge fan of both Munsters and Gremlins. So he wanted to try those out. So he stayed for a couple of hours. He played the pinball machine, and then I gave him the floating head so that they could auction, they could sign it and auction it off at a Retropalooza. I don't know if that ever actually happened, but if not, he still has it in his garage or something. But like I said, he's not really up for much of anything right now. Have you heard of the story about the guy that got a copyright strike for using his own music on a video? I've had that happen to me. I've uploaded music that I created, and it's been copyright struck, and I had to fight it. Are you doing anything special for Halloween this year? I'm just going to decorate the garage and give out candy. hopefully the game room tour video will be out by then, and maybe I'll cover when I go to film the garage, I'll cover the decorations that I'm putting up for it. It's nothing fancy. It's just, El Cheapo stuff that I bought at like, the Dollar Tree and stuff like that. I don't have the money to be doing anything really elaborate. I wish I did. We've talked for a long time since we moved here about decorating the walls of the garage to make them look like they're made out of stone, to give it this kind of dungeon look. But that was when we were talking about making it into an additional game room, because we talked about getting a pool table and putting it in there and whatnot. And now we're leaning that 8th is in this mechanical engineering major. We've been leaning more towards turning that into his own workshop. So probably not going to be getting the pool table now. And we don't have anywhere in here to put it. There's nowhere in here to put a pool table, so, And he's not as big into billiards as I am anyway. We were going to get one of those $2,000 pool tables that you flip it upside down and it becomes an air hockey table. That's what we were going to get. Good enough to play 2 people. But otherwise, I sit in, what I do for Halloween is basically the same thing that I don't know if you remember it, but there was a video that I did with my friend J.A. Allen, the guitar player. There was a video I did with him years ago that was called How Dads Spend Halloween, and it was me and him sitting in his garage handing out candy and cracking jokes and being stupid. Well, that's pretty much how I do things now, even though, I unfortunately haven't been able to see Jeff in years. Haven't talked to him in a long time either. Every message I've sent him in the last couple of years, he hasn't answered me. But I hope he's all right. But I open up my garage, I decorate the garage, and I have a Halloween playlist on Spotify, and I have a Bluetooth rack stereo system in the garage, and so I just turn that on and let it play, Halloween themed rock music, spooky stuff, grim grinning ghosts from the Haunted Mansion, that kind of stuff. And then I'll wear some stupid mask, and I have a megaphone. You remember the megaphone I used to use a lot during the 7thCast? I still have it, and I just act as a barker to lead the kids up to the garage. And I have little light up gravestones that go out in the front yard and that kind of thing. I'd love to get more elaborate and get some animatronics and stuff. At one point, I wanted to dress up as Leatherface and come barreling out of the laundry room door with a fake chainsaw going, that kind of stuff. But I don't have the money to pull any of that off, but I do it that way because there's already a bar in my garage that's got it's got a working sink and everything in it. We're going to get a mini fridge out there eventually to keep some frosty beverages, But we already have a bar there, so we decorate up the bar, and we have these plastic cauldrons, and we just create kind of a Halloween candy buffet where the kids could just walk up and grab a handful of whatever they like. And so up until when the kids stop coming, we just keep filling up those cauldrons with different kinds of candy. So last year I had chocolate assortment. I had the little packets of Lick-O-Made, the powder with the little stick, Those were really popular. Those went fast. I had gummy bears. I had Smarties. I had bubble gum. I had all sorts of different candy. And when one would run out, I'd just fill it up with something else. And most of it was candy that I bought at the Dollar Tree for like $5 a bag. So, no big deal, right? But the kids loved it, and meanwhile I just cracked jokes. Come one, come all! We're giving away free pediatric diabetes! That kind of crap. And then the neighbors loved it. They thought it was hilarious. They apparently hadn't had anybody treat Halloween that way ever. So I was we had the neighbors coming over just to watch me act like a fool. That was fun, It was a good way to introduce them to me. So I'll be doing that again this year. I have Halloween week off. I've been with the company 13 years, so I get a month of paid vacation every year. So essentially, I work 11 months a year. And so, I'll take little bits and pieces off for any kind of cons or special things that I want to go do. And I used to take 2 weeks off in December, but they've decided that they don't want me to do that because it's a lot of time towards the end of the year. So they made me split it up. So now I take off a little bit of time in case I can go to the Retropalooza in Houston. That's, in the spring. Then I take a week off at the end of October, a week off for Thanksgiving, and a week off for Christmas. So I've got Halloween week off, which is also just happens to be when I'm supposed to get around the 28th is when I'm supposed to get the results of my heart condition tests. And then I have a week off for Thanksgiving, week off for Christmas. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Very much looking forward to it. Because I do love my time off. I mean, I understand, guys, that it might be hard for you to understand how much my downtime means to me when I work in here anyway. But you got to understand, just because I'm sitting in all of this doesn't mean that I get to use any of it. When I'm working, I'm all business. I don't have the TV or the stereo or anything running in the background. I don't even have a stereo in here right now because I have a receiver, but I don't have the money to buy speakers for it. So I've got this really nice receiver, but I don't have the money to buy speakers. I don't have the money to buy the jukebox that I wanted in here. I don't have the money for the TV. These are things that have to happen over time. And even if I did have them, I don't do that when I'm working. When I'm working, I'm all business. The TV's not on. I'm certainly not playing games. There's no music playing. I am sitting there working for about 10 hours a day. I bust my hump. And so I really do appreciate my downtime when I have it. But even so, there are times where my downtime is taken up with extracurricular stuff that the company decides I need to do. Case in point, this certification exam they want me to take for this application. I have to hurry up and finish that. I'm hoping to have it done by the end of next weekend. I mean, it's not that big a deal because the certification exam is a 30-question test. You only have to pass it with a 70, so you can miss 9 questions, and it's open book. Not that big a deal, but it's still something that takes up time, personal time. And that's my life, man. 8 o'clock. Crap! One hour remaining, everybody. We have 1 hour remaining. We have had $12 in donations. We are $38 away from extending by 1 hour and $34 away from me actually getting paid by YouTube this month. They don't pay me unless I get at least $100 in that account, and currently we are $34 away from that. Have I ever ding-dong ditched or TP'd a house? I have never done those. No. Nor have I ever egged a house. But back in my Tennessee days, I have lit a few bags of dog crap on fire. Let's just put it that way. Kids will be kids, y'all. Shot bottle rockets at each other like rocket launchers. We've done that, Crazy redneck stuff. Grew up in Tennessee. What you gonna do, man? Snuck around on the grounds of a secret society. Almost got arrested multiple times. Wish I had a camcorder then, because that footage would be worth millions of views right now. Could have turned that into a short story. Could have sold that for massive bank. But then Stranger Thing happened, and so now even if I wrote it, people would accuse me of ripping off Stranger Things. I had a title for it and everything. It was going to be great. I mean, what are the odds? You grow up in a neighborhood, in the outskirts of a tourist town in Tennessee, and your neighborhood is literally right next door to the compound of a secret society. What are the odds? Man, we had so much fun sneaking around in there. I'm not going to give you the full name, Blaze, because that would be potential ability for people to try to dox me or dox the friends of mine that I grew up with. The book was going to be named after the street that I grew up on. Those old nostalgia videos are so interesting to watch. I like watching the early 2000s one. Well, the whole new series that I've been talking about wanting to make is all about nostalgia. But, my family, my dad made so little money as a policeman, we didn't have a camcorder until I was 17 years old. So, most of my memories and misadventures and all these different things that happened to me as a kid, there's no footage of any of it. I can't do what Tyler with my retro life does. His dad meticulously recorded everything. We didn't have a camcorder till I was 17, so almost nothing of my childhood is on camera or even in still shots. Unfortunately, I have a few pictures here and there, but that I've shown you on previous episodes of the 7thCast. That one bag of pictures that I've got sitting over there is all that's left. I used to have quite a few more, but a lot of them got lost from one move to the next. Some of them were ones that unbeknownst to me, my ex-wife had piled a bunch of it into a storage unit and then stopped paying for the storage unit, and so a bunch of my stuff got thrown into the trash. I have a lot of reasons to not want to have anything else to do with her ever again. Let's just put it that way. Everyone was more happy in the 80s and 90s. Yes and no. I mean, I was happy because I had, fewer responsibilities, but, I also wasn't able to just, and of course I can't do that now because I just bought this house, but, I couldn't just go out and buy whatever I wanted when I was a kid. Even once I got a job, I couldn't just go out and buy whatever I wanted because I was making $4.25 an hour. I was making minimum wage. So in some ways, being an adult is better because, with the exception of right now, because I just bought a $300,000 house. If I wanted to buy a game, I just went out and bought it. And to some extent, I can still do that once a year when I get my annual bonus. I mean, that's how I bought that, $4,300 arcade cabinet that you see sitting back there. It's because I bought that with part of my annual bonus. So I can do that once a year, and I've usually preserved that for buying one big thing that I need. So next year, it's probably going to be to replace that TV, because that TV is going on 10 years old, and I'm already having issues with it turning itself off. It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens every so often. So I know something in there is starting to go bad. So, next March, I'm going to be buying a new TV. I've already got one picked out. It's not anything super expensive. It's like $1,500. But, I don't have the money to just go out and buy that right now. I have to wait for my bonus because I'm not, now that I'm paying for this house, I'm not making as much fund money every month as I was. That's who I was thinking of, him playing Resident Evil on GameCube. It was cool. Well, yeah. 7th, do you think we live in the Matrix? No, but I do think we live in a test. Did you like old school SpongeBob? A little past my time, man. The only time I watched SpongeBob was when 8th wanted to watch SpongeBob when he was little. So, I mean, there's some gags from SpongeBob that I liked. Like, how often do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? Or, oh, brother, this guy stinks. I like that shit. But I wouldn't call myself a fan of SpongeBob. You got to remember, I'm 50. My age is more Ren and Stimpy. I was a teenager when the original Ren and Stimpy happened. But yeah, I mean, I have to be, because of the fact that, I still have other bills that I haven't paid down. I still have credit card bills that I need to pay off. Once I get those paid off, which I was getting them paid off, and then they shot back up because I had, I was given very little notice for this move. And so I had to charge a lot of stuff insofar as moving expenses and things like that. And so I'm having to pay that down now. If it wasn't for those, I would be doing all right as far as, expendable income. But until I get those paid down, I'm kind of tight right now. So I can't afford to go out and buy every new game that comes out like I was able to do when I was living in North Carolina. When I was living in North Carolina, my mortgage was only $750 a month. That was a little 1,300 square foot house. It was a small starter home. A little 2-story starter home that wasn't much bigger than a duplex. So the mortgage on it was dirt cheap. And so I had a lot of disposable income before I moved here. When I moved to Texas from North Carolina, my rent went from $750 to $1,350. Went up by $600 a month. And so then I had to build myself back up, and right to the point where I was getting to where we were doing comfortably. Took me 7 years to get there, and then they tell me, oh, we're selling the house, you got 2 months. If they had given me more time, I could have afforded to buy a bigger house than this one. Something closer to the range of 3,000 square feet. But we almost did. There was a house for the same price that was right at 2,900 square feet. But that was the one where they had big dogs in their backyard, and they'd allowed those dogs to tear the backyard up, including chewing up the posts holding the awning up and ripping up the backyard to where the back of the house was covered in dirt from the wind because they'd killed all the grass in the backyard. And then when you went walking upstairs to the second floor, the banister, like that banister you see right there, see that banister right there? That banister going up to the second floor would move with your arm if you touched it like this. So we knew there were serious structural problems with that house. And so we went with this one, which was the same price, but was 500 square feet, 550 square feet smaller. The main difference was that one had its own dedicated office, which this one does not, and its loft was way bigger than this loft up here. Those were the big differences. Same number of bedrooms, but it had an office and a much bigger loft. And on top of that, its sprinkler system was ruptured. The pipes had burst because they hadn't turned the water off during the previous winter, and the pipes had frozen and burst. So there was a lot of damage that was going to have to be repaired with that house, and so we turned that one down because they weren't going to offer to lower the price to cover the cost of all the repairs needed, and so we went with this one instead. So smaller house, but less repair work. Hey, Sage J. Are you still doing CS work? CS? What do you mean by CS work? Not sure what you're talking about there, Sage J. CS work. I know. Don't know what you mean. Tried to sell you a haunted house. Who tried to sell? What? Are you high? Nothing you're saying makes any sense. Somebody is over there smoking the good stuff. Lord help. Smaller shovel, smaller hole. More modern houses look like hospitals. Bland 80s and 90s houses were more warm and had wallpaper, had carrot. Well, here's the thing, though. We didn't buy this house from the previous owner. We bought it from... They had an emergency. They had to move to up north as quickly as possible. So they sold their house at a loss to a house flipper. And that person basically sprayed all the walls with white. This white kind of stucco stuff. And that was the extent of what they did to the house. I think they put in new imitation hardwood floor, and then they just sprayed this white stuff all over everything and called it a day. So, there's not a whole lot of personality to the house because everything's white and wood. And it's not simply a matter of being able to repaint it because it's an actual texture on the walls. So we would have to peel all that off, scrape all that off, back down to the sheetrock, and then repaint, which is more trouble than it's worth. So we've just been covering everything up with posters and stuff, which is what we usually do anyway. This house is 17 years old. It was built in 2007. Actually 18 years old now. It was 17 years old when we bought it. It was built in 2007, the same year that our house that we bought in Charlotte was built. So it has a lot of things in common with that Charlotte house, but it's twice as big. Still doesn't have a basement. It's a concrete slab home, so no basement, which is pretty common for Texas. But it's got a lot more. It's the biggest house I've ever lived in. The house I grew up in was 1,700 square feet, and that was including the den, the basement. So it was a little 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath house. You had one full bathroom, and then the master bedroom had a sink and a toilet in it. So, and then you had the den, which when my parents bought it, the den was not furnished, which it was just a unfinished basement. And my dad put in carpet and wall tile and all that, and wall paneling. And that's where, when I turned 17, I moved down there and made it my bedroom. And so I had a bedroom that was about the size of a small apartment efficiency, which was pretty cool. I loved it. I loved that as a teenager, having like a black leather couch with my own TV and stereo and place for my guitar and amps. And I had a drawing desk because I did a lot of comic book art back then, and I'd sell them for a couple of bucks at school for extra spending money and that kind of crap. One bedroom apartment, need to work over 50 hours. How expensive it is. I'm still with parents. I don't care what people say. Prices these days are unrealistic. Well, it's been a long time since I've rented an apartment. The last time I rented an apartment was it was an income-based apartment in Tampa, Florida, because married, wife, at that time, 1-year-old baby, a toddler. And so it was income driven, and so it was a two bedroom, 850 square foot apartment on the ground floor. It was $575 a month. That was in 2005. 2005. We lived there for 2 years, then bought a house in North Carolina. The house was a 1,300 square foot house. We bought it for $111,000 because you could do that in 2007. And then flash forward 2024, we bought this house, which is 2,300 square feet, 1,000 square feet bigger, almost double the size of the house we bought in Charlotte, for $294,000. 2000 since it's gone down, dropped in value. The property value dropped after the tornado hit Temple. So that shaved it down by $100 a month. So now my mortgage payment is $2,600 a month. Pretty pricey. What kind of comics? Well, I would draw artwork from comics. Like I could take a panel that was this big of Spider-Man, and I could draw it full page just from looking at it, and it would look just as good as the one in the panel, but full size, like an 8x11. And I would do that for people. They'd pay me a couple of bucks to do it. So they'd bring me a comic book, and they'd say, "I want a full size of this," and so I'd draw it and sell it to them. So I did, Spider-Man, Ghost Rider, Wolverine, the popular characters of the 90s. A lot of Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider was very popular back then. Anyway, it's 8:20. We have 40 minutes left, and we're still $38 short of extending the show by an hour. So if y'all are enjoying the show tonight, it's going to take another $38 to get more of this guy right here. Anyway, hey, have you ever noticed that I can do that with my thumbs? Watch. You ready? Ready? Meow. I have double-jointed thumbs. I used to freak my ex-wife out. I'd go, "Thumbs up." And she's like, oh, that just weirds me out. And I'm like, "What, this?" I don't know why I can do that. I just can. My thumbs bend backwards. I don't know. Apparently that's an odd thing. I thought everybody could do it when I was a kid, but apparently not. I could give her a right good thumb, and I could. I'm kidding. What do you want to see in Spider-Man Brand New Day? I don't really care. Tom Hardy as Venom would be a nice thing to throw in there. Finally get some real connection between Spidey and Venom, but they killed Venom, so whatever. Whatever, you guys. So who wants to pay $60 to watch me play Lost Soul Aside? I hear it's really, really bad. What do you think of the Mist book from Stephen King and the movie? Mist was one book of a collection of novellas. I can't remember which one it was from. Skeleton Crew, maybe? I think it was part of Skeleton Crew, the one that had the monkey on the front of it, maybe? I don't remember now. It was in one of his older collections. And, the story was okay, but, he tends to get a little bit preachy when it comes to religious fanatics. He has some kind of obsession with people that take their religious beliefs too far and too extreme. He loves to have characters that are into that kind of crap. He's been doing it since Carrie. So I didn't really care for that part of the story. Didn't care for that element of it in the movie either. But damn, the ending of the movie was so much better than the ending of the book. Did you like Returnal, and when you play the sequel? I did not play Returnal because of the Souls-like components to it. So I probably won't play the sequel either. That being said, 8th really enjoyed it. Top 5 candy. Do you like Dum Dums? No, I don't like Dum Dums. I don't really have a top 5 candy. I'm a type 2 diabetic, so I don't get to eat it. I would say that I like sugar-free gummy bears, but those give you the shits. If you don't believe me, go look up sugar-free gummy bears on Amazon and read some of the reviews. They're hilarious. Speaking of which, magic powers. I had thought about sending fart videos to Billy, but I'm afraid if I made him laugh, it would hurt him in his current condition. So I haven't done that. But what do you think happens after David Drayton tells Billy to hope in the end of the book? Well, it intentionally leaves that to your imagination, Blaze. Whatever happens is whatever you think happens, because King didn't choose to write it. But, when they made the movie, they decided to give it a little bit more of a downer ending, which I think was kind of brilliant, really. That's another thing. I obviously need a new camera because this one cannot stay focused to save its life. This is a Logitech Brio. When I bought it, it was like $200. I need a new camera because I'm getting tired of this one. But I don't have the money to buy one. So y'all are stuck with me constantly going in and out of focus. I'm sorry. How many reruns of Kid Behind a Camera do you watch? Not many. Not many, because it's too much stuff to try to keep up with. And on top of that, he repeats himself so much. I mean, every time you turn around, he's getting a divorce. How many divorces has he, not had through all of this? We're breaking up. She's cheating on me. I cheated on her. Blah, blah, blah. It's over and over and over again. And, here's the thing. I've been through an actual divorce. And the two of them do not act towards each other like two people that are getting divorced. Or two people that don't love each other anymore and can't stay compatible anymore. They don't act like it. It's not like what these two are depicting on camera. So I don't believe this one any more than I believed any of his previous ones. And I have been around him when he's making one of his vlogs. I've seen how he makes his vlogs. So I have no confidence in this being a real divorce. I don't. If anything, it feels to me like they were trying to diversify their income, so they bought a second house to rent out as like an Airbnb or something. And they currently don't have anyone renting it, so they wrote, they came up with an idea to get some use out of it for some content for the channel. That's what it feels like to me. I don't know. I don't care enough to dig into it to try to find out. But even when you listen to that 911 call, I know that it's like you can go to the site and hear that it's public domain, blah, 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 but she sounds so fake in that 911 call. Like she's talking about how he hit her so hard she saw stars, and the 911 operator said, "You saw stars?" And she's like, "Well, yeah." So fake. Well, yeah. She sounds so fake. She sounds drunk as hell, for one thing. And then the next, you saw her on camera just a couple of days later. There's no bruises or anything on her. And of course, now both of them, he didn't get arrested. No charges were filed. He was let go. She said the whole thing was just they got into a fight and an argument, and she got drunk and filed a false police report. And if that's the case, she's lucky that she didn't get arrested for filing a false police report and costing their local police department money. But anyway, I think it's all BS. I miss the old Angry Grandpa videos. Yeah, he was funny. I tell you one I can't stand is that ripoff, Angry Grandma. I can't stand her. Because all she is just dropping F-bombs. just yelling and dropping F-bombs. I mean, there was more to Angry Grandpa than that. The thing of it is, I didn't really discover Angry Grandpa until well into that whole thing. And I mean, the first time I ever watched it, I knew it was scripted. I knew it was fake. You could just tell. Same thing with Psycho Dad with, McJugger Nuggets. You could tell that was scripted and fake. It amazes me that people actually believe that stuff was real. It amazes me how many people watch Kid Behind the Camera and think all of it is 100% legit. Cracks me up that there's people that think that's real. It's amazing to me. And I don't have any ill will or anything towards Mike. He and I have gotten along the few interactions that we've had together. There's never been any negative back and forth between us. I hit him up every now and again on Twitter to catch up with him, and that's it. That's it. The only reason that I know him at all is through Boogie, because he came to Retropalooza with Boogie one time, and that's where I met him. Did you like Stand By Me? Yeah, it was a good movie. It's not one of my favorites from the 80s, but it's good, I don't own it physically. I liked River Phoenix. I liked Corey Feldman all right. Never been a fan of Will Wheaton. So he kind of kills my love for that movie. Not a fan, not a Will Wheaton fan. The only thing that Will Wheaton has made that I came close to liking, he did a made-for-TV movie for Disney back in the late 80s when Disney was still doing their Disney Sunday movie thing on ABC. And it was a movie about young Harry Houdini. And Will Wheaton played young Harry Houdini. And that was kind of an interesting movie. I kind of liked it, even though it wasn't based on any kind of reality at all. But it was fun. I kind of liked it. That's pretty much the only thing he's made that I've liked his performance. 8th cameo? 8th. I'm doing homework, so no 8th cameo. Remember, guys, 8th's in college now. He has homework he has to do. He has homework and projects and stuff. 8th is a grown-up. He's a big boy now. He's got big boy responsibilities. There was a point in time where 8th and I talked about turning the 7thCast into a two-man show where the two of us would just bounce topics off back and forth between us. But for whatever reason, that never actually happened. We talked about like tearing this down and putting it upstairs in one of the rooms and making like a 2-computer desk. And we each of us with our own camera, so we'd be in the same room, but we'd split it, kind of like Pat's completely unnecessary podcast with him and Ian, something similar to that, and it just never materialized. But it was something that we talked about doing at one point. But nowadays he's got lots of his own friends that he goes and spends his time with, and now he has college, which means he doesn't even get to see his friends as much as he used to. So what free time he does have gets taken up with either homework or them for the most part. Aside from going to see the movie with me today. I try to make sure that I get still at least some time with him. It's not like when he was, a kid during the Trey Brotherhood days where he was like sitting next to me all the time. It's not like that anymore. But when is it ever once they get to a certain age, They develop their own personality, they develop their own interests, their own hobbies, their own likes and dislikes, and their own cadre of friends. And those days of them being attached to you at the hip are over. Top memories of 80s and 90s. I'm surrounded by it, man. Just look around. Just look around. But most of it is summertime stuff. When I think of the 80s, I think of my parents taking me to Disney World. I think of riding BMX through the woods with my friends and sneaking into that secret society compound and shooting bottle rockets at each other and riding our bikes down to the Golden Gallon to look at nudie magazines and all the crazy stuff that we did as kids back then because there was no parental supervision at all. Going to Panama City Beach and going to Shipwreck Island and Miracle Strip Amusement Park and, going into that arcade and playing games till 1 a.m. surrounded by a bunch of beautiful girls walking around smelling like cocoa butter, 80s, man. 80s. The 80s weren't just a time, they were a whole vibe. And I surround myself in the remnants of that just so I can pretend that I still feel that vibe. I think there's sports tonight, not many people. Well, we got 21. That's more people than were here last week, that's for sure. Favorite Halloween movies. I like the Terrifier movies. I like the first 3 Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I like the first 4 Friday the 13th. Well, the first 6. I like 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8. And 8 when it comes to the Friday the 13th movies. Hellraiser 1 and 2. Just a lot of horror movies. I'm not that picky. Not that picky. Jennifer Connelly. Oh, Jennifer Connelly in The Rocketeer. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. That was when she was her most gorgeous, was in The Rocketeer. And then suddenly she became skeletal. I don't understand it. I don't know. She decided she wasn't thin enough, which was a lie, and then she became skeletal. I don't know. Man, she was gorgeous in Rocketeer, though. I talk about Diane Franklin a lot from Better Off Dead, but Rocketeer Jennifer Connelly, man, gave her a run for her money. You know how I'm a sucker for brunettes, man. I don't give a crap about blondes, but I'm a sucker for brunettes. That being said, I lost my virginity to a blonde, but maybe that's why I like the brunette so much. I don't know. I know. I think she ended up being my first, just so I could say that I had I'd been with the cheerleader type. I think that might have been my mindset at the time, because we didn't really have a whole lot in common. Oh Lord, we didn't have a whole lot in common. Yeah, I don't know, Alaska, dude. I don't know what's going on. I just know that I'm happily divorced and have had absolutely no desire to change that status. You know what I'm saying? I come and go as I please. I do what I want. I spend my money on what I want to spend my money on, what money I have. And I am beholden to nobody but my employer. And I like it that way, and I shall keep it that way. I'm not really negatively affected by the whole loneliness thing that you hear from some of these incels out there, because I was an only child. I'm when I'm alone is when I'm in my comfort zone. That's my natural state of being. I am a man who enjoys his solitude, with the exception of time that I spend with 8th. And, I enjoyed having friends over when I was a kid. My best friend Brandon, I had him over to the house every opportunity I could get because, his parents were divorced, so he didn't like to have friends go over to his place. He liked to go hang out at their place. So, every opportunity I'd have Brandon over. My friend Anthony, I'd have Anthony over every chance that I could. Go out bike riding with my friends Tom and Mikey and Brett and Chad and all them. But for the most part, most of my childhood was spent in my bedroom by myself with the door closed. And then once I turned 17, down in the basement. Although once I turned 17, a lot of times I was down in the basement with a chick. But still. What were your favorite attractive women in the 80s? And well, Rocketeer Jennifer Connelly and Better Off Dead Diane Franklin. Those were my two favorites, my two go-tos. Also, Carolyn Williams, a.k.a. Stretch from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and Heather Langenkamp, a.k.a. Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street. I definitely had a type, and that type was brunette. Anyway, we're down to the last 20 minutes. 20 minutes left, and we are still $38 short of extending the show by an hour. Magic powers. What's on your wish list of retro games? Little Samson. Yeah. Currently, the one that I'm most focused on, that I want the most, is Mighty Final Fight for the NES, which currently is going somewhere between $350 to $400 cart only. I don't collect in-box complete when it comes to cart games. So Super Nintendo, NES, Genesis, all that. Genesis, I prefer to have the case if it's one that has the plastic shell case. If it's one of the later Genesis games that came in a cardboard case, don't care about those. Only care about the plastic ones. But when it comes to NES, I don't care about having the box. I just want the cart. And the one that I want the most right now is Mighty Final Fight, because it's a beat 'em up on the NES that I'd already moved to 16-bit when it came out, so I never owned it. So I'd like to have it and play it, but I don't have $400 to spend on a single cart. So that's the one that's on my radar right now, but I couldn't tell you when I'll be able to afford to actually go out hunting for one. I mean, I have a lot of I still have a lot of commons and uncommons on NES that, to pick up still. Sports and racing games that I don't have because I have 440 NES carts, so I'm still around 250 short of having a complete US set. And some of them, like stadium events and the Nintendo World Championship, I'll never have those. And I'll probably never have Little Samson either, because it's getting up in that $4,000 range. But a few $100, like for Mighty Final Fight, I can swing that. It's just going to take me some time, since right now I don't have that much fun money to go around. Hope that answered your question, Alaskan dude. When is the next time you will be in theaters? Are you asking the next time I'm going to go see a movie? Or are you saying when's the next time I'm going to be in a movie? Because next time I'm going to be in a movie is probably never. Unless, magic powers. Unless Billy ends up making another movie and they offer me a little bit part in it, then I will likely never be in another movie. As far as the next time I'm going to be at a movie theater, will probably be for Tron in October. Yeah. Because I know it's Jared Leto, and I don't like Jared Leto, but it's a frickin' Tron movie, so I'm going to see it. I am a big Tron fan. You can see in the background over there, up on the wall next to the curtain. That's my little shrine to Tron with my 3 Tron action figures. And I've got a little Tron poster there. And then if you go upstairs to the second floor, there's a big Tron poster on the wall up there. Which you're going to see all of that for the game room tour once the table is here. And we've got all of that set up. Not that 8th has had a chance to have any of his friends here to play any tabletop games in a while. Because since he started school, 8th has been too busy to have anyone here to play him, but, you know, for when they can get all together to do it, he's going to have the room to do it now. Do you like The Blacklist on Netflix? I don't think I've seen whatever that is. I think Ghost of Yotei comes out in a couple of weeks. Will you be getting it? That is one of the ones that's on pre-order. That's one of the ones that 8th has told me he will not wait for Christmas to play, so I got to scrounge up the money for it. Oh, magic powers. That one hurt a little. That one had some burn to it. Singed my beehole. Tron Ares looks good. I think they want a trilogy. I don't know. Because as far as I know, Jeff Bridges is the only one from the previous 2 films that has any involvement in it. You know, Sam and Cora from Legacy are not on the cast list, so I don't know. And Bruce Boxleitner, Tron, you know, the guy that the movie's named after, he's not on the cast list either. So unless Disney's really hiding some stuff, I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm not into military shooters, so if somebody wanted me to play Battlefield 6, they'd have to donate it because I'm not spending my money on it. Same deal with Call of Duty. Every time I ever did a video game review of a Call of Duty game, it's because one of y'all donated because I wasn't going to buy it. I don't like military shooters. I like sci-fi stuff. Sci-fi. We got 15 minutes left, folks. 15 minutes left, $38 short. Wah, 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 wah. Wah, 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 wah. Oh. Yeah, well, maybe. Hard to say, Alaskan dude. Just booted up Unicorn Overlord. What did you give it out of 7? I would have given that a 10 out of 7. That game was right up my alley. I loved Unicorn Overlord. I platted Unicorn Overlord. I platted that game because I loved it that much. Even though it doesn't play exactly like it, Unicorn Overlord reminded me of Dragon Force, one of my absolute favorite Saturn games. So that was very much in my wheelhouse. I ate that game up. You heard Netflix was trying to buy Star Wars from Disney? I don't think that would be any better, to be honest with you. I mean, after all, they were willing to give Zack Snyder the money to make, Rebel Moon. Doesn't exactly fill me with confidence in their ability to put out a decent sci-fi movie. Or space opera or whatever. Which, I mean, I didn't hate Rebel Moon, but it wasn't exactly the greatest thing ever. QB, you haven't been around, but I finished Mafia of the Old Country. I beat it a few days ago. I've got all the footage. I just need to finish writing the script and put it all together, man. Did you like that one series on Netflix? I forget what it's called. The concept was the rich could cheat death by buying new bodies called Sleeve. Oh, God. I know which one you're talking about. And in addition to the series, they made an anime, like a cartoon of it, that had like one episode. It was like a little cartoon movie or some crap. Something Carbon. Wasn't it called Something Carbon? Filtered Carbon or something Carbon was the name of the show. And yeah, I watched it. It was interesting. Did it take? I don't think it took me 100 hours to beat it clean frame. I think for me it was like 80 hours or something like that. I can't remember now. Altered Carbon. Was it Altered Carbon? Let me know if Altered Carbon. Yeah, I think that's the show you're talking about, QB. Are you looking forward to Fallout Season 2? Well, I liked Fallout Season 1, so yeah. Yeah, Altered Carbon. I liked that show. It was interesting, but did you like Blade Runner 2049? Yes, I did. I did like that movie. I didn't like it as well as the first one, obviously, but I did like that movie. Man. Now, Blade Runner is a movie that's special effects were so far ahead of its time. I mean, it used the same basic effects processes that Star Wars did, but man, that is a movie that has aged so well when it comes to its special effects. Magic powers. It has aged exceedingly well. Is Cyberpunk worth playing now? What, the Project Red game? Yeah. Yeah, very much so. It's almost a completely different game than what initially came out. So yeah, you definitely need to look into that. 10 minutes left, folks. We have 10 minutes left, and I am still $38 short of extending by 1 hour. You got 10 minutes. Man. Getting old sucks, man. Getting old sucks. Speaking of my buddy Anthony, that I talked about, my childhood friend Anthony, he now owns his own boutique guitar company where he builds custom guitars called Lucky Dog Guitars, and he has sent me a Lucky Dog ball cap that I will be wearing on the 7thCast moving forward. He's not sponsoring me. I will be talking about Lucky Dog for free because he is my friend. And if I could afford to buy a Lucky Dog guitar, I would buy one in a heartbeat, but I don't have the money. Some of his guitars go for like $10,000. I don't even have $2,000. So back to attractive women in modern times. And no one really does it for me in modern times, sorry to say. I haven't really run into anyone lately that's in movie or TV or whatnot that like, yes, yes. Just hasn't happened. Everyone looks to me like a 17-year-old kid now. I don't know what to say. What do you want me to say? I'm 50 years old. Everyone looks too young for me now. Just take me out behind the barn. Aches and pains, y'all. Aches and pains. Pins and needles, pins and needles, pins and needles. I just cannot wait to be walking around with a heart monitor strapped to me for half a month. That's just going to be awesome. Ugh, sucks. I'm not looking forward to that at all. But, I mean, that's nothing compared to what Billy's going through right now, so I'm not going to complain about it too much. Strange days that we're living in, lads. Strange days. Does an online trophy ruin the whole trophy collection process for you? Yes. The first thing I'll do when I start a game is I look at the trophy list. And if I see any online-only trophies, then I don't go chasing for trophies. I just earn whatever I earn in the process of beating the game, and then I uninstall it. There's been a few exceptions to that. There's been like a couple. I think it was one of the Uncharted games had one online trophy on it. It was maybe Uncharted 3 or Uncharted 4, which, I went in, played it long enough to get that trophy, dropped out. But for the most part, if I see online trophies, I don't bother. I don't bother trying to get the plat because I hate online play. I can't stand it. I'm so burnt out on it. I've never been able to go back into it. I had a couple of bad heart events in the last calendar year. Not heart attacks, but strange arrhythmia events. And so I went to the doctor this week, and they think that I have something called atrial fib, which is where the top muscles in your heart get out of rhythm with everything else, and so you just feel like your heart's skipping a beat, and your pulse shoots up to the roof like this. It's kind of scary when it happens. I mean, you don't get out of breath or nothing, but you feel dizzy, like you've got vertigo and crap. And so next month I have to go to the hospital and get a heart monitor, and I have to wear it for the rest of October for them to confirm that I have atrial fib, and then they're going to put me on some kind of medication for it. Last of Us Part 50. Buy it now, $200. No, thank you. Anyway, Raymond, that's what's going on. 5 minutes left, folks. 5 minutes left, and we are still $38 short of extending the show to 10 p.m. Which I get it. You guys donated a ton to get that table last month, so, I understand, but I got to follow the rules, yo. I got to follow the rules. How's Alex doing? Alex is upstairs with 8th right now. She's doing great. She's doing great. I forgot to bring her down here to show y'all how well she's running. But, it's like it really is a miracle. It's like nothing ever happened to her. She can run as fast as the day is long. It's amazing. The Lord was looking out for that little dog. Because I certainly didn't have $3,500 to spend on having her knee rebuilt. And then one day she just started running again like nothing had ever happened to her knee. I can't, is what it is. I had to do that for a bit during high school. It was only a few days, but a real pain in the butt. Well, for me, I have to do it. I have to pick it up on October 10th, and then I have to wear it until the 28th. So pretty much, the entire second half of October. And it's going to be a pain in the butt because on top of that, the last week of October is the week that I have off. So I'm going to have to devote some of my off time to driving down to that doctor's office for them to tell me the results of the heart monitor that I'm going to have to wear, including when I'm having to sleep. I'm going to have to sleep with the stupid thing on me. But, and also they say that type 2 diabetics should probably be on blood pressure medicine anyway, which I've never been on because when these events aren't happening, my blood pressure stays at a pretty even 122/80, which is kind of unheard of for a guy as fat as I am, but that's the reality of it. And so they haven't put me on blood pressure medicine because of that, but it's entirely possible that in addition to whatever they're going to give me to fix this atrial fib thing, that they're going to stick me on blood pressure medication too. So potentially 2 more medications that I have to add to the 3 that I'm already on. And I have good medical coverage through my employer, but, not that good. Not that good. Anyway, 2-minute warning. 2-minute warning. 2 donations of $20 would do it, guys, but or 4 $10 donations, that would do it too. But, if y'all don't want to see me for another hour, that's on y'all. I've got other things that I can go do, like sleep. I hate being old. I'm on blood pressure medicine at 24. That sucks. I'm twice your age. That sucks, bro. That sucks. Sorry to hear it. It looks like it ain't going to happen again tonight. That's okay, though. That's okay. Wah, 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 wah. But yeah, tonight we stayed at a pretty consistent viewer level. Much better than last week. Last week, hardly anybody showed up. I think somebody said it was because it was the first night of the NFL. I don't know. I still don't. I don't picture my audience as being all that big into NFL. When I came in, I was 170. Shh. Yeah, mine's 122 over 80. Always. Obviously, if they put me through a stress test and had me running on a treadmill and whatnot, sure, it'd go up then. But, Anyway, it's 9 o'clock. We're $38 short of the $50 goal to extend the show by an hour. So it's not going to happen again tonight, folks. Not going to happen again tonight. Be thinking about anything that y'all want to ask me next week, or anything that you would like me to talk about. You can, if you're on X, you can send it to me on X. And we can cover those topics. If there's anyone out there that wants to donate to see me review Lost Soul Aside after I'm done posting my Mafia Old Country review, feel free to send that over too. And in any other respect, because I'm not paying for that with my own money, but for any other respect, I will see you next time. Same 7th time,